Acrocanthosaurus is a large theropod that lived in early Cretaceous North America between 113 and 110 million years ago. It was about 13 feet tall, 38 feet long, and weighed between 5 to 7 tons. Acrocanthosaurus's name means high-spined lizard, due to the sail running down its back. Some scientists say that the sail was used for controlling its body temperature, while others say it's for intimidation purposes. Acrocanthosaurus is a member of the Carcharodontosauridae family, which means that its closest relatives are Carcharodontosaurus, Allosaurus, Tyranotitan, Mapusaurus, and Giganotosaurus. While not quite as large as T-Rex, Acrocanthosaurus was the dominant predator of its time, mainly feeding on sauropods, ornithopods, and ankylosaurs. Alamosaurus is a large sauropod or long-necked dinosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 66 million years ago. At 25 feet tall, 98 feet long, and weighing about 33 tons, it's one of the largest dinosaurs ever recorded, only losing to its South American counterpart Argentinosaurus. This gentle giant lived alongside Triceratops, Ankylosaurus, Troodon, and of course T-Rex. Alamosaurus mainly fed on leaves on the tallest parts of the trees that smaller herbivores couldn't reach. Due to its size, this sauropod has very few natural predators, with the exception of T-Rex. Alamosaurus is the largest in the family, and the only member to live in North America. Albertosaurus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in late Cretaceous North America about 71 million years ago, coming in at about 30 feet long, 12 feet tall, and weighing in at 2.5 tons. Albertosaurus is a smaller cousin of the much more popular T-Rex. It gets its name due to its fossils being found in Alberta, Canada. Albertosaurus lived alongside Edmontosaurus, Corythosaurus, Euoplocephalus, Lambeosaurus, Centrosaurus, Edmontonia, and Hypacrosaurus. Like T-Rex, Albertosaurus had 2 tiny arms with 2 fingers on each hand. These arms were useless, and Albertosaurus mainly relied on its powerful jaws and very sharp teeth. It also had very powerful legs, which allowed Albertosaurus to run up to 13 miles per hour. Allosaurus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in late Jurassic North America between 155 and 145 million years ago. At 30 feet long, 17 feet tall, and weighing as much as 1.5 tons, this carnivore was the apex predator of its time. Its name means different lizard due to its unique concave vertebrae. Allosaurus lived alongside Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, Dryosaurus, and Ceratosaurus. This carnivore had a very powerful bite with a force of up to 3,600 newtons. Allosaurus was also quite fast for a creature so large, running at speeds of up to 34 miles per hour. Allosaurus had sharp and serrated teeth that grew to 4 inches long. Its skull alone was about 3 feet long. Allosaurus mainly lived in North America, but some fossils were also found in Europe. Amargasaurus is a small sauropod that lived in early Cretaceous South America between 129 and 122 million years ago. At 8 feet tall, 33 feet long, and weighing as much as 3 tons, it is one of the smaller sauropods. Amargasaurus is best known for the double row of spikes running down its neck, along with the supposed sail on its back. It was also discovered in 1984 and is one of the most complete sauropod skeletons out there. The spikes on Amargasaurus's neck were most likely used for defensive purposes in order to protect itself from predators. There's only one other specimen with a build similar to Amargasaurus, and that is Bajadasaurus, which was also discovered in South America in 2010. Ankylosaurus is an armored dinosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 66 million years ago, coming in at about 6 feet tall, 26 feet long, and weighing up to 9 tons. Ankylosaurus is best known for having armor all over its back, along with a large club at the end of its tail. The combination of both aspects allows this herbivore to defend itself from predators. It lived alongside Alamosaurus, Triceratops, Troodon, and T-Rex during the tail end of the Cretaceous period. Due to the armor on its back, Ankylosaurus is relatively slow, but is pretty strong to make up for the lack of speed. The only part of the Ankylosaurus that is vulnerable is the underbelly, which means if a T-Rex ever thinks to roll this dinosaur on its back, it's game over. Apatosaurus is a large sauropod that lived in late Jurassic North America between 161 and 145 million years ago. This giant grew to be 15 feet tall, 75 feet long, and weighed up to 25 tons. Apatosaurus lived alongside Diplodocus, Brachiosaurus, Stegosaurus, Dryosaurus, Ceratosaurus, and Allosaurus. Its name means deceptive lizard. Unlike Diplodocus, Apatosaurus has a more robust build with more muscular legs and a less whip-like tail. Apatosaurus was also formerly known as Brontosaurus before it was changed into what it is today. Archaeopteryx is not a dinosaur, but a small protobird that lived in late Jurassic Europe between 163 and 145 million years ago. It grew to be about 2 feet long, half a foot tall, with a wingspan of 2 feet wide and a weight of up to 2 pounds. Archaeopteryx's name means ancient wing and could be the missing link between dinosaurs and birds. This protobird spent most of its time on the treetops, feeding on the insects that live inside the trees. Archaeopteryx is also one of the first organisms to sport feathers, along with being one of the first species of bird in existence. Archaeornithomimus is a small herbivore that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 89 and 70 million years ago, coming in at 7 feet tall, 11 feet long, and weighing up to 110 pounds. Its name means ancient bird mimic, and spends most of its time grazing on grass and berries in the bushes, but will sometimes go after small lizards. Archaeornithomimus is part of the ornithomimid family, a group of bipedal dinosaurs known for their immense speed. Its closest relatives were Gallimimus, Struthiomimus, Dromaeomimus, and Ornithomimus. Some species could run as fast as 35 miles per hour. Archelon is a prehistoric sea turtle that lived during the late Cretaceous period between 83 and 66 million years ago. At 13 feet long and weighing in at 4,500 pounds, Archelon is the largest species of turtle ever recorded. It's even larger than its terrestrial equivalent, Carbonemys. Much like modern-day sea turtles, Archelon goes on land to lay its eggs. Once finished with the egg-laying process, it goes back into the water. Archelon is very slow on land, but extremely fast in the water. It has powerful flippers that allow this creature to glide through the water at top speed. Argentinosaurus is a large sauropod that lived in late Cretaceous South America between 99 and 89 million years ago, coming in at 70 feet tall, 130 feet long, and weighing up to 80 tons. It is one of the largest terrestrial organisms ever recorded. As the name suggests, Argentinosaurus was discovered in where else? Argentina. It was mainly preyed upon by Mapusaurus, which even then the carnivore had to be in a big group in order to bring one of these behemoths down. Despite being so large, the babies come out tiny. Argentinosaurus usually lays up to 30 eggs, because the more of them there are, the more likely the next generation will survive to adulthood. A Troceraptor is a small theropod that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 66 million years ago, coming in at about 6 feet long, a foot and a half tall, and weighing in at 33 pounds. This dinosaur was a vicious pack hunter. A Troceraptor's name means savage thief and belongs to the Dromaeosauridae family, a group of dinosaurs known for their signature and very sharp sickle-like claws on the middle toe of each foot. These claws were mainly used for tearing prey, and a Troceraptor was no exception. Its closest relatives were Velociraptor, Pyroraptor, and Deinonychus. A Troceraptor lived alongside Albertosaurus, Edmontosaurus, Pachyrhinosaurus, and Struthiomimus in what is now Alberta, Canada. Edinburghosaurus is a medium-sized plesiosaur that swam the early Jurassic seas between 199 and 189 million years ago, coming in at 16 feet long and weighing in at just over a ton. This plesiosaur's fossils were found in what is now England. Edinburghosaurus was named after famous television broadcaster, biologist, and natural historian David Attenborough. David's brother Richard played John Hammond in Jurassic Park. Edinburghosaurus is part of the plesiosaur family, a group of marine reptiles best known for their long necks and powerful flippers. They dominated the oceans until they were wiped out by the much stronger mosasaurs. Australovenator is a small theropod that lived in late Cretaceous Australia between 99 and 93 million years ago. This carnivore came in at 20 feet long, 6.5 feet tall, and weighed in at just over a ton. Being dubbed the cheetah of the Cretaceous period, this predator could run at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. Australovenator was best known for the sharp claws it has, 3 on each hand, which could grow up to 5 inches long. These claws were most likely used as their primary weapons against prey. Australovenator mainly lived alongside Muttaburrasaurus and Minmi, both of which were most likely on the menu. Barbaridactylus is a small pterosaur that lived in late Cretaceous Africa 66 million years ago. It weighed 8 pounds and had a wingspan of between 13 and 16 feet wide. Barbaridactylus belongs to the family Nyctosaurid, which are pterosaurs known for having antler-like crests on their head. It is also the largest in its family. Nyctosaurids rarely ever touch the ground and could possibly fly longer than any other species of pterosaur. Barbaridactylus spent most of its time by the coast, feeding on fish in the ocean. Baryonyx is a medium-sized theropod that lived in early Cretaceous Europe between 130 and 125 million years ago, coming in at 8 feet tall, 33 feet long, and weighing in at a ton and a half. Baryonyx is a piscivore, meaning that its diet mainly consisted of fish. Its name means hooked claw due to the hook-shaped claw on each hand, which it used to catch fish in rivers and lakes. Baryonyx belongs to the family known as Spinosauridae, which consists of dinosaurs with hook-like claws, narrow crocodile-like jaws, and in some cases a sail on their back. Its closest relatives were Irritator, Ichthyovenator, Suchomimus, and the largest of them all, Spinosaurus. Fossils of Baryonyx were found in what is now the United Kingdom. Brachiosaurus is a large sauropod that lived in late Jurassic North America between 154 and 150 million years ago, coming in at 72 feet long, 43 feet tall, and weighing up to 50 tons. Brachiosaurus belongs to the family Brachiosauridae, which are tall sauropods that are more height than length, unlike the lengthy diplodocids like Diplodocus and Apatosaurus. Brachiosaurus's closest relatives are Giraffatitan and Sonorosaurus. Due to its height, Brachiosaurus could feed on leaves from parts of the trees that even Apatosaurus couldn't reach. The downside is that Brachiosaurus loses the whip-like tails of the Diplodocids, but with an immense size on its side, this sauropod has nothing to worry about. Camarasaurus is a large sauropod that lived in late Jurassic North America between 155 and 145 million years ago, coming in at 15 feet tall, 66 feet long, and weighing up to 22 tons. While not quite as large as Brachiosaurus or Apatosaurus, Camarasaurus is still very large in its own right. Its name means chambered lizard, and mainly fed on leaves and plants along with other tough vegetation. Camarasaurus's neck was also shorter compared to other sauropods, but it was still long enough to reach the trees. It was also the most common sauropod in the Jurassic period, mainly living alongside the much larger Brachiosaurus. Carcharodontosaurus is a large theropod that lived in late Cretaceous Africa between 99 and 94 million years ago, coming in at about 46 feet long, 12 feet tall, and weighing in at 8 tons. It was one of the few carnivores to rival T-Rex in size, only losing to Giganotosaurus and Spinosaurus. This carnivore even lived alongside the latter, but they never competed for food. Carcharodontosaurus had a very powerful bite, with a force of up to 3,000 pounds per square inch. Not nearly as powerful as T-Rex, but still quite strong in its own right. Carcharodontosaurus's name means shark-toothed lizard, due to having serrated teeth like that of a shark. These teeth grew to be about 8 inches long. Carnotaurus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in late Cretaceous South America between 83 and 66 million years ago, coming in at 10 feet tall, 25 feet long, and weighing up to 2.5 tons. Its name means carnivorous bull, due to having 2 horns on top of its head. Carnotaurus belongs to the family known as Abelisauridae, and its closest relatives are Rajasaurus, Abelisaurus, and Majungasaurus. Like T-Rex, Carnotaurus had very short and stubby arms that did next to nothing. However, while T-Rex could at least scratch its head, Carnotaurus's arms were completely useless. Sierradactylus is a small pterosaur that lived in early Cretaceous South America between 112 and 109 million years ago. It weighed about 33 pounds and had a wingspan of up to 18 feet wide. Sierradactylus mainly lived by the coast, feeding off of the fish in the ocean. Its closest relative was Marodactylus. Sierradactylus is known for having a very long beak and a relatively short crest on top of its head. This pterosaur also sported needle-like teeth, which helped it catch fish underwater. Ceratosaurus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in late Jurassic North America between 161 and 145 million years ago, coming in at 23 feet long, 6.5 feet tall, and weighing in at a ton. Ceratosaurus is best known for the nasal horn on top of its nose. Scientists still aren't sure what this horn was used for. Some say it's to attract mates, while others say it's for combat purposes. Ceratosaurus lived alongside Stegosaurus, Allosaurus, Diplodocus, and Dryosaurus. Ceratosaurus was a very fast and agile carnivore that could run at speeds of up to 60 miles per hour to catch prey. Chasmosaurus is a small ceratopsian that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 70 million years ago, coming in at 8 feet tall, 16 feet long, and weighing up to 2 tons. This herbivore belongs in the ceratopsid family, which are dinosaurs best known for the horns and frill on their head, that are mainly used for protection against predators and fighting others of their kind for territory and mates. Chasmosaurus's closest relatives were Utaceratops, Pentaceratops, Cosmoceratops, and many more. Unlike other ceratopsians, Chasmosaurus's horns were a lot shorter and not as sharp as some of its larger cousins. It was mainly preyed upon by Daspletosaurus, a smaller cousin of T-Rex. Chunkingosaurus is a small stegosaur that lived in late Jurassic Asia between 163 and 157 million years ago, coming in at 13 feet long, 3 feet tall, and weighing about 1.5 tons. This dinosaur is considered to be one of the smallest species of stegosaurid ever discovered. Its closest relatives were Tajungosaurus, Kentrosaurus, and Stegosaurus. Like others in its family, Chunkingosaurus had plates all over its back and a thagomizer or set of spikes at the end of its tail, used for defense purposes. The plates are said to be used for controlling its body temperature. Coelophysis is a small theropod that lived in late Triassic North America between 221 and 190 million years ago, coming in at 10 feet long, 3 feet tall, and weighing in at 50 pounds. Coelophysis was one of the first dinosaurs to ever set foot on the planet, and mainly lived alongside Plateosaurus, Placarius, and Postosuchus. Despite being so small, Coelophysis was a very fast runner, coming in at about 30 miles per hour. Its diet mainly consisted of insects and small lizards. Coelophysis' name means hollow form due to it having hollow bones. Compsognathus is a tiny theropod that lived in late Jurassic Europe between 150 and 145 million years ago, coming in at only 2 feet long, barely a foot tall, and weighing in at only 7 pounds. Compsognathus is one of the smallest dinosaurs ever recorded, no larger than a chicken. By itself, this dinosaur isn't really much of a threat to anything, mainly eating insects and small lizards. In numbers, however, these critters can be quite deadly and can even take down prey much larger than themselves. Its closest relative was Sinosauropteryx, and its name means elegant jaw. Concavinator is a medium-sized theropod that lived in early Cretaceous Europe between 130 and 125 million years ago. It was about 7 feet tall, 20 feet long, and weighed about 880 pounds. This carnivore was best known for the small hump on its back, which essentially makes it the carnivorous camel of the Cretaceous. Concavinator lived in what is now Spain, and mainly preyed upon iguanodonts, ornithomimids, and several non-dinosaur species. It is also part of the Carcharodontosauridae family. Corythosaurus is a large hadrosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 72 million years ago, coming in at 9 feet tall, 33 feet long, and weighing up to 6 tons. Corythosaurus belongs to the hadrosaur family, which are a group of duck-billed dinosaurs that were both bipedal and quadrupedal. Corythosaurus was one of these hadrosaurs, and was best known for having a helmet-shaped crest, hence its name, which means helmet lizard. Its closest relatives were Edmontosaurus, Lambeosaurus, and Parasaurolophus. Crichtonsaurus is a small ankylosaur that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 101 and 89 million years ago, coming in at 13 feet long, 3 feet tall, and weighing up to half a ton. This dinosaur was related to Ankylosaurus and Euoplocephalus. Crichtonsaurus is named after famous author and filmmaker Michael Crichton, who wrote the Jurassic Park novel back in 1990. The dinosaur itself was discovered just over a decade later. Much like Ankylosaurus, Crichtonsaurus had armor on its back, along with a club at the end of its tail. Only its underbelly was vulnerable to attacks from predators. Cryolophosaurus is a small theropod that lived in early Jurassic Antarctica between 199 and 182 million years ago, coming in at 26 feet long, 8 feet tall, and weighing in at half a ton. Cryolophosaurus is best known for the weird-looking crest on top of its skull, and its name means cold-crested lizard. This carnivore also goes by another name, Elvisaurus, due to the crest on its head resembling the hairstyle of the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. Cryolophosaurus was discovered in 1991 by paleontologist Dr. William Hammer. It was also the first dinosaur to be discovered in Antarctica. Dinosaur is a large dinosaur that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 101 and 66 million years ago, coming in at about 14 feet tall, 36 feet long, and weighing up to 7 tons. A rather bizarre dinosaur that basically resembles a giant duck. Dinosaur was mainly a herbivore, but would sometimes eat fish in rivers and lakes, as well as underwater plant life. Despite its resemblance to Therizinosaurus, Dinosaur is actually closely related to Gallimimus. In fact, it is the largest member in the ornithomimid family. Dinosaur is best known for the hunch on its back, though scientists still aren't sure what this hunch was used for. Deinonychus is a small theropod that lived in early Cretaceous North America between 125 and 100 million years ago, coming in at 10 feet long, 5 feet tall, and weighing in at 220 pounds. One of the larger dromaeosaurs, Deinonychus was very light on its feet, running at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour. Like most in its family, Deinonychus has the signature sickle-like claw, one on each foot, along with being a pack hunter. This carnivore's name means terrible claw, and it's definitely worthy of the name. Deinonychus's favorite prey was an ornithopod called Tenontosaurus. Dilophosaurus is a small theropod that lived in early Jurassic North America between 201 and 182 million years ago, coming in at 23 feet long, 6 feet tall, and weighing up to 880 pounds. Jurassic Park depicted this dinosaur to have an unusual double crest on its skull, a retractable frill surrounding its neck, and the ability to spit venom. However, only one of these aspects is actually correct. The real Dilophosaurus was also much larger than the one in the movie. The Dilophosaurus's name means double-crested lizard, due to the double crest on its skull. Scientists believe that this theropod was a scavenger that ate prey left by other animals. Dinosaurs similar to Dilophosaurus in structure include Dracovenator, Monolophosaurus, and Cryolophosaurus. Dimetrodon is not a dinosaur but a synopsid or mammal-like reptile that lived in early Permian North America between 286 and 270 million years ago, coming in at 7 feet tall, 11 feet long, and weighing up to 550 pounds. Dimetrodon lived during the Paleozoic era, the era that took place before the Mesozoic. It lived in the Permian period sometime before the first dinosaur hit the scene. Dimetrodon has a sail on its back, which was most likely used for controlling its body temperature or for attracting mates. This carnivore mainly preyed upon its herbivorous equivalent, Edaphosaurus. Dimorphodon is a small pterosaur that lived in early Jurassic Europe between 201 and 189 million years ago, coming in at 3 feet long with a wingspan of 5 feet wide and weighing up to 4 pounds. One of the smaller pterosaurs, Dimorphodon is best known for its long tail, which is even longer than the rest of its body. Other pterosaurs either had really short tails or no tails at all. Dimorphodon mainly lives inland, hunting insects in the Jurassic jungles. This pterosaur's head is also a different shape from other pterosaurs. Diplodocus is a large sauropod that lived in late Jurassic North America between 161 and 145 million years ago, coming in at about 30 feet tall, 90 feet long, and weighing up to 30 tons. This gentle giant's name means double beam. Unlike the bulkier Apatosaurus, Diplodocus has a more slim build, with a long whip-like tail. The tail alone measured up to half of Diplodocus's entire body length. The tail was most likely used along with its size for defending itself. While not the largest sauropod, Diplodocus is still a magnificent sight to behold. Dracorex is a small herbivore that lived in late Cretaceous North America around 66 million years ago, coming in at 4 feet tall, 11 feet long, and weighing about 1,300 pounds. Its name means Dragon King, and there's a species called Dracorex hogwartsia, which is named after Hogwarts Academy from the iconic Harry Potter franchise. Dracorex belongs to the Pachycephalosaur family, which are a group of dinosaurs best known for their dome-shaped skulls, which are used as battering rams. Its closest relatives are Pachycephalosaurus and Stygimoloch. Some scientists believe that Dracorex, along with Stygimoloch, are just younger versions of Pachycephalosaurus. Dreadnoughtus is a large sauropod that lived in late Cretaceous South America between 83 and 66 million years ago, coming in at 20 feet tall, an astounding 85 feet long, and weighing up to 65 tons. Its name means fears nothing, due to the fact that it has very few, if any, natural predators. Dreadnoughtus was a more recent discovery in paleontology, only being discovered in 2014. As a result of this, not much is known about this gargantuan titanosaur. Whether or not it rivaled Argentinosaurus in size is still up for debate, but Dreadnoughtus should not be overlooked nonetheless. Dryosaurus is a small herbivore that lived in late Jurassic North America between 161 and 145 million years ago, coming in at about 6 feet tall, 14 feet long, and weighing up to 200 pounds. It belonged to the iguanodont family and is a distant ancestor of the much larger iguanodon. These small herbivores were very light on their feet and could run at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. Dryosaurus's name means oak lizard, due to it being believed to have mainly lived in forests. Dryosaurus was mainly preyed upon by Ceratosaurus and Allosaurus. Sungaripterus is a small pterosaur that lived in early Cretaceous Asia between 145 and 100 million years ago, coming in at 3 feet tall with a wingspan of up to 11 feet wide and weighing in at up to 4 pounds. A rather bizarre and unique pterosaur, Sungaripterus is best known for the upward-facing banana-shaped beak that it has, along with the small teeth inside the beak. The beak itself was used like a crowbar in order to break open shellfish for the pterosaur to eat. Did you know that the design of Rodan from the Netflix series Godzilla Singular Point was heavily inspired by this very pterosaur? Dunkleosteus is a large prehistoric fish that ruled the Devonian seas around 359 million years ago, coming in at about 13 feet long and weighing up to 4 tons. This predator ruled the waters during the Devonian period in the Paleozoic era, long before the first dinosaurs set foot on the land. Dunkleosteus is best known for the armor on its back, as well as the powerful jaws that it possesses. Inside these jaws are not teeth, but very sharp plates that were used to crush even the toughest of bones. Speaking of bones, did you know that Dunkleosteus is also one of the very first organisms on the planet to have a skeleton? Edmontosaurus is a large hadrosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 66 million years ago, coming in at about 10 feet tall, 43 feet long, and weighing up to 4 tons. Formerly known as Anatosaurus or Anatotitan, Edmontosaurus is often regarded as one of the more popular hadrosaurs. This particular specimen you see here is Edmontosaurus regalis, which is best known for having a round crest on top of its head. There are other species of Edmontosaurus that don't have this crest. Edmontosaurus was normally preyed upon by Tyrannosaurus rex and was often the preferred meal of said carnivore. Like most hadrosaurs, Edmontosaurus most likely communicated with others of its kind by honking at each other. Elasmosaurus is a large plesiosaur that ruled the late Cretaceous seas between 93 and 70 million years ago, coming in at 34 feet long and weighing up to 10 tons. Elasmosaurus was one of the largest plesiosaurs to have ever lived, and one of the last ones to rule before the mosasaurs took over. Its powerful flippers allowed this creature to glide through the water at top speed and to catch up to unsuspecting prey. Elasmosaurus mainly eats small fish and invertebrates along the open ocean. The neck of Elasmosaurus alone was around 23 feet long, which is longer than the rest of its body. Euoplocephalus is a large ankylosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 66 million years ago, coming in at about 4 feet tall, 23 feet long, and weighing up to 2.5 tons. Euoplocephalus was mainly preyed upon by Albertosaurus and lived in what is now Canada. Like other ankylosaurs, Euoplocephalus had armor on its back, as well as a club at the end of its tail. Its name means well-armed head, due to the top of its head also being covered in armor. Only the belly is vulnerable to attacks from predators. Gallimimus is a small herbivore that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 101 and 66 million years ago, coming in at about 7 feet tall, 20 feet long, and weighing up to 440 pounds. Its name means chicken mimic, and is best known for the slim body structure and high speeds. A Gallimimus's best defense is its speed, and can run as fast as 50 miles per hour. Despite being dubbed the chicken mimic, Gallimimus has more of the qualities of an ostrich. It is also around the size of one too. Despite mainly eating plants and berries, Gallimimus will sometimes eat small lizards. Geosternbergia is a large pterosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 88 and 85 million years ago, coming in at 3 feet tall, with a wingspan of up to 24 feet wide and weighing up to 6 pounds. Geosternbergia is best known for the distinct crest on top of its head. This pterosaur mainly lived on the coast, eating fish from the shoreline. Some scientists believe that Geosternbergia is just a subspecies of Pteranodon, and the pterosaurs even resemble each other. The full name of the species was Pteranodon sternbergii. Giganotosaurus is a large theropod that lived in late Cretaceous South America between 99 and 93 million years ago, coming in at 20 feet tall, 43 feet long, and weighing up to 8 tons. This carnivore is the second largest terrestrial carnivore to ever exist, the first being Spinosaurus. Giganotosaurus had a bite force of up to 6,000 pounds per square inch. Not quite as powerful as T-Rex, but still quite deadly. While the don't move technique was proven to not work on T-Rex, it might still work on Giganotosaurus. This is because T-Rex had what's called binocular vision, which means that T-Rex can see in front of it. Giganotosaurus, on the other hand, could only see from the sides, which means you would be safe as long as you're in front of it. However, I would not recommend trying this technique just to be on the safe side. Gigantoraptor is a large oviraptorid that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 83 and 70 million years ago. It was about 16 feet tall, 29 feet long, and weighed up to 3 tons. Imagine an oviraptor around the size of a T-Rex, and you've got this gargantuan turkey. This omnivore's name is pretty self-explanatory, meaning gigantic thief. Gigantoraptor is also the largest oviraptorid in the family, and lived in what is now Mongolia, alongside its smaller cousin, the oviraptor, Tarbosaurus, Therizinosaurus, Protoceratops, and Velociraptor. Giganspinosaurus is ironically a small stegosaur that lived in late Jurassic Asia between 163 and 157 million years ago, coming in at about 8 feet tall, 14 feet long, and weighing up to 3/4 of a ton. This armored herbivore gets its name due to the large shoulder spikes, hence the name. Its name means giant-spined lizard, and mainly fed on leaves from bushes. Giganspinosaurus was mainly preyed upon by a theropod called Yangchuanosaurus, and also lived alongside the sauropod Mamenchisaurus. Giganspinosaurus was discovered in 1985 and named in 1992. Herrerasaurus is a small theropod that lived in late Triassic South America between 237 and 208 million years ago, coming in at about 20 feet long, 5 feet tall, and weighing up to 770 pounds. Herrerasaurus is one of the oldest dinosaurs on record and one of the very first to appear on the planet. Its name means Herrera's lizard, after a rancher who discovered the specimen in 1958. Herrerasaurus lived alongside another early dinosaur called Eoraptor and a terrestrial crocodile called Saurosuchus. Homalocephalae is a small herbivore that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 83 and 66 million years ago, coming in at 5 feet long, 3 feet tall, and weighing at 95 pounds. A relatively small dinosaur, Homalocephalae is a cousin of Pachycephalosaurus, Stygomoloch, and Dracorex. Unlike its larger cousins, which had dome-shaped skulls, Homalocephalae's skull was more flat like a pancake. Saying that, though, that same thick skull could still do some damage. Homalocephalae mainly ate plants, but it was speculated that this dinosaur also ate small lizards. Huayongosaurus is a small stegosaur that lived in mid-Jurassic Asia between 170 and 163 million years ago. It was about 15 feet long, 4 feet tall, and weighed up to 3 tons. This stegosaur mainly ate plants, and its closest relatives were Chunkingosaurus, Giganspinosaurus, and Tajungosaurus. Like many other stegosaurs, Huayongosaurus has plates on its back, as well as a thagomizer at the end of its tail. The plates of Huayongosaurus were most likely used for body temperature control, and its thagomizer for defense purposes. Ichthyosaurus is a small marine reptile that swam the late Jurassic seas around 150 million years ago. It was about 10 feet long, and it weighed up to 200 pounds. These dolphins of the Jurassic period mainly ate small fish and mollusks along the surface of the open ocean. They used their powerful flippers and fins to glide through the water at tremendous speeds, which is great for catching prey or to escape predators. Ichthyosaurus is best known for its resemblance to that of a modern-day dolphin, and also has similar qualities to one, despite not being a mammal. Iguanodon is a large herbivore that lived in early Cretaceous Europe between 140 and 93 million years ago. It was about 9 feet tall, 33 feet long, and weighed up to 6 tons. Iguanodon is best known for the thumb spikes it has on each hand, which were most likely used for tearing up vegetation and its best defense against predators. Iguanodon was one of the first dinosaurs ever discovered and named. It was given the name Iguanodon in 1825, and it means iguana tooth. Its closest relatives were Dryosaurus, Camptosaurus, and Oranosaurus. Indominus rex is a genetically modified hybrid that was created by Dr. Henry Wu back in 2012 and was meant to be showcased for Jurassic World. Fully grown, this hybrid would be about 25 feet tall, 50 feet long, and would weigh up to 10 tons. The main components of the Indominus rex are T-Rex and Velociraptor, but other species are mixed into it as well, including Carnotaurus, Giganotosaurus, Majungasaurus, Deinosuchus, Therizinosaurus, and Cuttlefish. In 2015, the Indominus rex broke out of its enclosure and caused the fall of Jurassic World. It wreaked havoc until it was finally defeated by a velociraptor named Blue, Jurassic Park's original T-Rex known as Rexy, and the Mosasaurus. Indoraptor is a genetically modified hybrid created by Dr. Henry Wu sometime between 2016 and 2018. This hybrid was about 10 feet tall, 24 feet long, and weighed just over a ton. The Indoraptor is a direct descendant of the Indominus rex, and combines said hybrid with more Velociraptor DNA. It was also about half the size of its ancestor. The Indoraptor was created to be a weapon for war, a controllable creature that can be very useful on the battlefield. The one that was created was merely a prototype, and the complete version would require Blue's DNA, due to her having been trained by Owen Grady. The Indoraptor escaped and rampaged across the Lockwood Manor until it was finally defeated by Blue. Jeholopterus is a small pterosaur that lived in late Jurassic Asia between 164 and 161 million years ago. It had a wingspan of up to 3 feet wide, and it weighed up to 10 pounds. A relatively small and bizarre-looking pterosaur, Jeholopterus belongs to the Anorognathid family, a group of pterosaurs known for being super small and for having round, lizard-like heads, unlike the beaks of much larger pterosaurs. Jeholopterus's diet mainly consists of insects in the forests and trees of the late Jurassic. Due to their size, Jeholopterus can't fly very far, which is why they often latch onto trees looking for food. Kentrosaurus is a medium-sized stegosaur that lived in late Jurassic Africa between 163 and 145 million years ago. It was about 5 feet tall, 15 feet long, and weighed up to 3 tons. Kentrosaurus is a cousin to the much more popular Stegosaurus and is pretty popular in its own right. Unlike Stegosaurus, which only had spikes at the end of its tail, Kentrosaurus had spikes all over its tail, as well as 2 shoulder spikes, one on each side. Kentrosaurus's name means spiked lizard. Any predator who would dare challenge this thing to a fight would not be in for a good time. Kronosaurus is a large pliosaur that swam the early Cretaceous seas between 145 and 99 million years ago. It measured up to 36 feet long and weighed up to 13 tons. Kronosaurus swam the oceans around what is now Australia. This predator was the apex of its time, with teeth that grew up to a foot long. Kronosaurus is also the largest pliosaur discovered to date, and its closest relative was Liopleurodon. Kronosaurus's diet mainly consisted of large shellfish known as ammonites, which lived alongside it. Lambeosaurus is a large hadrosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 70 million years ago. It was about 50 feet long, 9 feet tall, and weighed up to 3 tons. Like other hadrosaurs, Lambeosaurus is known for having a strange-looking crest on top of its head. which was most likely used for communicating with others of its kind. Its diet mainly consisted of pine, ginkgo, and magnolia plants, and was mainly preyed upon by Gorgosaurus, a smaller cousin of T-Rex. Did you know that the crest of Lambeosaurus looks like somebody giving a thumbs up? Liopleurodon is a large pliosaur that swam the late Jurassic seas between 166 and 139 million years ago. It was about 23 feet long and weighed up to 1.5 tons. Liopleurodon is a close relative of Kronosaurus that swam the oceans looking for prey. Its name means smooth-sided teeth and has very sharp teeth that could grow up to 5 inches long. This marine reptile was also relatively slow, only swimming at speeds of up to 6 miles per hour. Due to this, it is believed that Liopleurodon was more of an ambush hunter rather than a chaser. Lystrosaurus is a small synopsid that lived in early Triassic Africa, Europe, Asia, and Antarctica between 253 and 248 million years ago. It was anywhere between 3 and 8 feet long, 1 to 3 feet tall, and weighed up to 200 pounds. This small herbivore is a member of the Dicynodont family, which are creatures best known for their mammal-like appearance. Some scientists believe that Lystrosaurus had fur, which was strange for a reptile. It also had 2 small tusks that it used to dig up roots and look for food. The name Dicynodont means 2-dog tooth due to their dog-like appearance. Marodactylus is a large pterosaur that lived in early Cretaceous South America about 110 million years ago. It had a wingspan of up to 20 feet wide and weighed up to 11 pounds. Marodactylus belongs to the family Ornithochiridae, which are pterosaurs best known for the round crests on the tip of their beaks. Its closest relatives were Tropionathus and Ornithochirus. Marodactylus has needle-like teeth that helped it catch fish on the coast of what is now Brazil. Maiasaura is a large hadrosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 86 and 70 million years ago. It was about 8 feet tall, 30 feet long, and weighed up to 4 tons. What makes this hadrosaur unique from other hadrosaurs is its motherly nature. Its name means good mother lizard, because paleontology has mainly found this dinosaur with a nest of hatchlings. The first remains of Maiasaura were discovered in 1978 by Montana resident Lori Trexler, and the genus was named a year later. Majungasaurus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in late Cretaceous Africa between 72 and 66 million years ago. It was about 7 feet tall, 26 feet long, and weighed a little over a ton. Majungasaurus used to roam what is now Madagascar. It belongs to the Abelisauridae family, and its relatives were Carnotaurus, Rajasaurus, Abelisaurus, and many more. At one point, Majungasaurus, which had been its name since 1896, went through a name change in 1979 into Majungatholus, but the latter name was turned into a junior synonym, and Majungasaurus became the permanent name for it. Mamenchisaurus is a large sauropod that lived in late Jurassic Asia about 163 million years ago. This gentle giant was about 35 feet tall, 65 feet long, and weighed up to 30 tons. Mamenchisaurus is best known for having the longest neck out of any sauropod. This sauropod's neck could reach up to 50 feet long, which is even longer than the rest of its body. The neck also has about 19 vertebrae, more than any other sauropod. Like most other large sauropods, it is believed that Mamenchisaurus had very tiny hatchlings by the hundreds. Big groups of hatchlings would better improve their chances of survival. Megalosaurus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in mid-Jurassic Europe between 168 and 165 million years ago. This carnivore grew to be 10 feet tall, 30 feet long, and weighed up to 3 tons. Megalosaurus's name means great lizard and is one of the first dinosaurs ever discovered and ever named. Discovered in 1824 and named in 1827 respectively. This dinosaur went through many physical changes throughout its discovery. At one point, it was believed that Megalosaurus walked on all fours and was more dragon-like, unlike the more theropod look it has today. Metriacanthosaurus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in late Jurassic Europe between 161 and 155 million years ago. It was about 6 feet tall, 26 feet long, and weighed just over a ton. Metriacanthosaurus's name means moderately spined lizard, and lived in what is now England. At one point, Metriacanthosaurus was thought to have been the same species as Megalosaurus, but it was later deemed different enough to be given its own name. This process took 40 years to figure out, however. Microraptor is a small theropod that lived in early Cretaceous Asia between 125 and 113 million years ago. It stood at a foot tall, 4 feet long, and weighed no more than 2 pounds. Microraptor is best known for its ability to glide, thanks to the feathers on its arms that act like wings. Microraptor spends most of its time on the treetops, hunting for insects that live in the bark of the trees. Its name means small thief due to its size, and is a member of the Dromaeosaurid family, despite looking more like a bird. Minmi is a small ankylosaur that lived in early Cretaceous Australia between 120 and 112 million years ago. It was about 3 feet tall, 10 feet long, and weighed about 660 pounds. A relatively small ankylosaur, this dinosaur lacks the club at the end of its tail that its larger cousin has, but still has the armor. Minmi was deemed too primitive to be considered an ankylosaurid or a notosaurid, so they put it in its own group. Minmi has a very bizarre name for such a bizarre dinosaur. Monolophosaurus is a small theropod that lived in Middle Jurassic Asia between 166 and 163 million years ago. This carnivore measured at about 18 feet long, 6.5 feet tall, and weighed in at half a ton. Its name means single-crested lizard because unlike its more well-known counterpart Dilophosaurus, Monolophosaurus has only one crest on its head. It's possible that Monolophosaurus traveled in packs to take down larger prey such as Mamenchisaurus, which lived alongside it. Morocentrepidus is a small theropod that lived in late Cretaceous North America about 96 million years ago. It was about 5 feet tall, 10 feet long, and weighed up to 170 pounds. In the latest Jurassic movie, Jurassic World Dominion, the Moros are depicted to be a much smaller size, only around the size of a Compsognathus. Saying that, it's still one of the smallest tyrannosaurs in the family, and is a relative of T-Rex. Morocentrepidus is also one of the more recent discoveries, being discovered in 2013. Mosasaurus is a large marine reptile that ruled the late Cretaceous seas between 99 and 66 million years ago. This monster was over 50 feet long and weighed up to 15 tons. It was one of the largest predators to ever swim the oceans. Not quite as large as today's blue whale, but still impressively large. The Mosasaurus also had a bite force of up to 16,000 pounds per square inch. This creature mainly swam near the surface looking for food, and is also the reason why the plesiosaurs went extinct. Muttaburrasaurus is a large iguanodont that lived in early Cretaceous Australia between 112 and 103 million years ago. At 8 feet tall, 26 feet long, and weighing up to 3 tons, it is one of the smaller iguanodonts. Muttaburrasaurus had a similar body build to Tenontosaurus, another ornithopod from North America. This herbivore was best known for the unusual rounded snout on its skull, which was most likely used to communicate with others of its kind. Nasutoceratops is a large ceratopsian that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 70 million years ago. It was about 6 feet tall, 15 feet long, and weighed up to 1.5 tons. What makes this ceratopsian unique from others are the horns on its head, resembling that of a bull. It also has a snout much larger than other ceratopsians, hence its name, which means large nose horned face. Being discovered in 2013, Nasutoceratops is one of the more recent discoveries. Nigersaurus is a small sauropod that lived in early Cretaceous Africa between 125 and 100 million years ago. It was about 8 feet tall, 30 feet long, and weighed up to 4 tons. Nigersaurus is best known for having anywhere between 500 and 1,000 tiny teeth, which it used to tear up vegetation. While not nearly as large as its gargantuan brethren, Nigersaurus is still a very impressive specimen. It was discovered in 1976, but not named until 1999. Nodosaurus is a small ankylosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 99 and 70 million years ago. It was about 6 feet tall, 20 feet long, and weighed up to 3 tons. Unlike other ankylosaurs, Nodosaurus lacks the signature club tail at the end of its tail, but still possesses the armor on the back. It belongs in its own family, the Nodosauridae, which are a group of ankylosaurs known for lacking the club tail. Like most other ankylosaurs, the belly on Nodosaurus is vulnerable to attacks. Nothosaurus is a small marine reptile that swam the Triassic seas between 240 and 210 million years ago, coming in at 23 feet long and weighing up to 330 pounds. Fossils of Nothosaurus have been found in Africa, Europe, and Asia. This creature spent most of its time around the shoreline, hanging out on top of rocks and swimming around looking for food. Nothosaurus also had sharp needle-like teeth used to rip its prey to shreds. Did you know that Nothosaurus's name means false or illegitimate lizard? Olorotitan is a large hadrosaur that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 70 and 66 million years ago. It was about 11 feet tall, 26 feet long, and weighed about 6 tons. Olorotitan is one of the larger hadrosaurs in the family, and its name means Titanic swan. It gets its name due to how elegant it is, and has the grace of a swan. Unlike other hadrosaurs, Olorotitan was known for standing more upright. Maybe not human-level upright, but it definitely has a unique posture from other hadrosaurs. Ouranosaurus is a large iguanodont that lived in early Cretaceous Africa between 125 and 93 million years ago. It was about 10 feet tall, 27 feet long, and weighed up to 4.5 tons. Ouranosaurus is best known for the sail protruding its back, which is similar to that of Piscivore and fellow dinosaur from Africa, Spinosaurus. Like Spinosaurus, Ouranosaurus's sail was most likely used for moderating its body temperature or for attracting mates. Though it didn't live alongside Spinosaurus, Ouranosaurus did live alongside cousin of Spinosaurus called Suchomimus. Oviraptor is a small theropod that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 89 and 70 million years ago. It was about 3 feet tall, 5 feet long, and weighed up to 79 pounds. Oviraptor's name means egg thief because it was once believed that Oviraptor mainly ate eggs. Later discoveries have found that this dinosaur was actually an omnivore that will eat pretty much anything. Oviraptor was also very fast and agile and could run at speeds of up to 43 miles per hour. Pachycephalosaurus is a small herbivore that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 72 and 66 million years ago. It was about 6 feet tall, 15 feet long, and weighed in at 1 ton. Pachycephalosaurus's name means thick-headed lizard and is best known for one thing: its dome-shaped head. Pachycephalosaurus's skull is its best defense against attackers and rivaling pachycephalosaurs. The skull is about 10 inches thick and has a force of up to 14,000 newtons, or over 3,000 pounds per square inch. Pachyrhinosaurus, not to be confused with Pachycephalosaurus, is a large ceratopsian that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 72 and 66 million years ago. It was about 7 feet tall, 26 feet long, and weighed up to 4 tons. Pachyrhinosaurus is best known for the thick nasal crest that it has instead of horns, hence its name, which means thick-nosed lizard. This herbivore used its crest to fend off predators and rival male pachyrhinosaurs. It also lived alongside Albertosaurus, which often preyed upon it. Paraceratherium, not to be confused with Parasaurolophus and formerly known as Indricotherium, is a large mammalian that lived in Asia and Europe during the Oligocene epoch between 34 and 23 million years ago. At 18 feet tall, 24 feet long, and weighing up to 22 tons, this is one of the largest terrestrial mammals to have ever existed. Paraceratherium lived during the Oligocene era, about 30 million years after the dinosaurs went extinct. Paraceratherium's name means near the hornless beast, and despite looking like a giraffe, it's actually not related to one. Its closest relatives are horses, tapirs, and rhinoceros. Parasaurolophus is a large hadrosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America and possibly Asia between 83 and 70 million years ago. It was about 8 feet tall, 36 feet long, and weighed up to 4 tons. Parasaurolophus is among the most iconic of the hadrosaurs and is best known for the backward-leaning crest on top of its head. This hollow crest could reach up to 6 feet long and was used to communicate with others of its kind. It was also used to warn others if danger was approaching. Pentaceratops is a large ceratopsian that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 66 million years ago. This dinosaur grew to be 10 feet tall, 26 feet long, and weighed up to 6 tons. Despite its name meaning 5-horned face, it only had 3 true horns on its face, no more than that of its more well-known cousin, Triceratops. Pentaceratops also had a rectangular frill, much like Chasmosaurus, and unlike the round frill of Triceratops. Plesiosaurus is a small plesiosaur that swam the early Jurassic seas between 199 and 175 million years ago. It was about 11 feet long and weighed up to half a ton. Plesiosaurus's name means near lizard and lived in the oceans near what is now Europe, more specifically England. There are some legends that say that somewhere in Scotland there is a creature living in Loch Ness called the Loch Ness Monster and is said to be based off of a plesiosaur. The plesiosaurs ruled the oceans for millions of years until they were driven to extinction by the mosasaurs. Polacanthus is a small ankylosaur that lived in early Cretaceous Europe between 130 and 125 million years ago. It was about 5 feet tall, 16 feet long, and weighed up to 2 tons. Polacanthus is best known for its bizarre appearance with the lack of a clubbed tail and spikes running down the side of its tail. Polacanthus was part of the Nodosauridae family, which also included Nodosaurus and Sauropelta. Polacanthus's name means many thorns, and with all those spikes, it's definitely worthy of the name. Also, check out this John Hammond statue that came in the newest free update for Jurassic World Evolution 2 during their 2nd anniversary. Proceratosaurus is a small theropod that lived in Middle Jurassic Europe between 167 and 164 million years ago. It was about 5 feet tall, 10 feet long, and weighed up to 80 pounds. This carnivore is best known for the odd-looking crest on top of its head, and was also known to be covered in feathers. Despite its name meaning before the horned lizard, which suggests that this dinosaur was related to Ceratosaurus, Proceratosaurus was actually a distant ancestor of Tyrannosaurus rex. Psittacosaurus is an early species of ceratopsian that lived in early Cretaceous Asia between 126 and 101 million years ago. It was about 3 feet tall, 6 feet long, and weighed up to 220 pounds. Despite not looking like one, Psittacosaurus is in fact part of the ceratopsian family. Before the more well-known Triceratops, early ceratopsians were bipedal, meaning that they mainly walked on 2 legs, and Psittacosaurus was no different. Later ceratopsians would switch to a more quadrupedal stance. Pteranodon is a large pterosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 89 and 70 million years ago. It was about 6 feet tall, with a wingspan of up to 18 feet wide, and weighed up to 100 pounds. Pteranodon is the most iconic out of all the pterosaurs, and is best known for the large crest on top of its head. This pterosaur is often mistaken for a pterodactyl, which is what this creature was formerly known as. Much like other traditional pterosaurs, the Pteranodon has a very short tail. Pyroraptor is a small theropod that lived in late Cretaceous Europe between 83 and 66 million years ago. It was about 2 feet tall, 8 feet long, and only weighed up to 50 pounds. This dromaeosaur is best known for having feathers all over its body. In fact, almost all dromaeosaurs are believed to have feathers. Pyroraptor's name means fire or Olympic thief, and lived in what is now Spain and France. The sickle-like claws on Pyroraptor's feet are also a lot shorter than its more popular cousins, only coming in at about 2.5 inches long. Changosaurus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 72 and 66 million years ago. It was about 8 feet tall, 20 feet long, and weighed up to 3/4 of a ton. Changosaurus is a cousin of the more well-known Tyrannosaurus rex that lives in what is now China. It gets its nickname, the Pinocchio Rex, due to its long snout. And no, Changosaurus did not get this long snout from lying all the time. Or did it? Thought I'd make that joke. Quetzalcoatlus is a massive pterosaur that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 72 and 66 million years ago. This giant was about 18 feet tall, with a wingspan of up to 36 feet wide, and weighed up to 500 pounds. Quetzalcoatlus is one of the largest flying organisms to have ever taken the skies, and they often compete with the T-Rex for food. Its size alone was enough to scare off most of the dinosaurs that stood before it. Quetzalcoatlus's name comes from the Aztecian feathered serpent god known as Quetzalcoatl. Sauropelta is a large ankylosaur that lived in early Cretaceous North America between 125 and 100 million years ago. This herbivore was about 6 feet tall, 17 feet long, and weighed up to 1.5 tons. Sauropelta is best known for its pair of large shoulder spikes that were mainly used for defense against predators. Its name means lizard shield due to its heavy armor. Sauropelta is part of the Nodosauridae family, which are a group of ankylosaurs best known for the lack of a clubbed tail, and Sauropelta was no different in that department. Coelutosaurus is a small stegosaur, or was it an ankylosaur? Truth is, scientists aren't really sure where to put this guy. What we do know, however, is that it lived in early Jurassic Europe between 208 and 174 million years ago. This dinosaur was about 6.5 feet tall, 13 feet long, and weighed up to 600 pounds. Coelutosaurus is one of the first armored dinosaurs in existence, and while scientists are still not sure where to put this dinosaur, we can all agree that it looks very unique in its own special way. Perhaps they should put this dinosaur in its own group? Scorpius rex is a genetically modified hybrid created by Dr. Henry Wu sometime before 2012 as one of his first hybrids. The hybrid was about 11 feet tall, 26 feet long, and probably weighed about 2 to 3 tons. The main components of the Scorpius rex are Carnotaurus, T-Rex, Velociraptor, tree frog, and scorpionfish. Dr. Wu created this hybrid to be showcased for Jurassic World to bring something new, but Masrani turned it down because the hybrid was deemed too ugly to be showcased. Wu would later try his luck again with the Indominus Rex, while the Scorpius Rex was left in a cryo chamber until it escaped sometime after the 2015 incident. Shonisaurus is a large ichthyosaur that swam the late Triassic seas between 237 and 227 million years ago. This gentle giant was about 50 feet long and weighed up to 33 tons. Shonisaurus swam the oceans near what is now North America. It was one of the largest ichthyosaurs ever recorded, only losing to its larger relative, Shastasaurus. Shonisaurus mainly swam in the depths looking for fish to feed on. Sinoceratops is a large ceratopsian that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 83 and 72 million years ago. It was about 6 feet tall, 19 feet long, and weighed about 2.5 tons. Sinoceratops was discovered in China back in 2010, and its name means Chinese horned face. This dinosaur was proof that not all ceratopsians were from North America. Sinoceratops could also run at speeds of up to 37 miles per hour with its charge. Sinosauropteryx is a small theropod that lived in early Cretaceous Asia between 130 and 122 million years ago. It was just shy of a foot tall, 3.5 feet long, and weighed just over a pound. This little carnivore is best known for being covered in feathers and sporting what looks like a squirrel-like tail. One of the smallest dinosaurs on record, Sinosauropteryx mainly feeds on insects and mainly leaves larger dinosaurs alone. Smilodon is a large prehistoric cat that lived during the Pleistocene epoch between 2.5 million and 10,000 years ago. It was about 3 feet tall, 6 feet long, and weighed up to 620 pounds. Smilodon gets its nickname, the saber-toothed cat, due to its pair of long saber-like teeth on each side of its jaw. These teeth grew to be about 11 inches long and could pierce through flesh and bone. Smilodon was also very agile and could run at speeds of up to 37 miles per hour. Spinosaurus is a large theropod that lived in late Cretaceous Africa between 99 and 93 million years ago. It was about 18 feet tall, 52 feet long, and weighed up to 9 tons. One of the largest terrestrial predators ever recorded, Spinosaurus is best known for the large sail protruding its back. This sail was about 5 feet long and was most likely used for controlling its body temperature or for attracting mates. Spinosaurus also uses its crocodile-like jaws to catch fish in the rivers and lakes of what is now Egypt. Stegosaurus is a large herbivore that lived in late Jurassic North America and Europe between 155 and 145 million years ago. It was about 13 feet tall, 30 feet long, and weighed up to 5.5 tons. Stegosaurus is best known for sporting dorsal plates all over its back, and for having a thagomizer tail with 4 sharp spikes at the end of it. This herbivore used its plates for body temperature control, while using its spiked tail to defend itself from predators, especially the likes of Allosaurus. Despite being so large, Stegosaurus's brain is relatively tiny, no larger than a walnut. Struthiomimus is a small herbivore that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 66 million years ago. It was about 5 feet tall, 13 feet long, and weighed up to 330 pounds. Struthiomimus's name means ostrich mimic due to having behaviors similar to an ostrich. And no, hiding its head underground isn't one of them, at least not to our knowledge. Much like other ornithomimids in the family, Struthiomimus is very fast and could run at speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. Stygomoloch is a small herbivore that lived in late Cretaceous North America roughly 66 million years ago. It was about 4 feet tall, 11 feet long, and weighed up to 500 pounds. Stygomoloch's name means demon of the river Styx, and is best known for having spikes surrounding its dome-shaped head. Some dub this creature the head-butting king. Research has also shown that Stygomoloch, along with Draco Rex, are stages to the growth of Pachycephalosaurus, but that's still up for debate. Styracosaurus is a large ceratopsian that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 70 million years ago. It was about 6 feet tall, 18 feet long, and weighed up to 3 tons. Styracosaurus's name means spiked lizard, and is best known for having a large frill with spikes on top of it, as well as a large horn on its nose. This dinosaur lived in what is now Canada and the western United States. Styracosaurus could also run at speeds of up to 20 miles per hour when charging. Styxosaurus is a large plesiosaur that swam the late Cretaceous seas between 89 and 70 million years ago. It was about 39 feet long and weighed up to 2.5 tons. Much like other plesiosaurs, Styxosaurus has a long neck and 4 flippers that help it get around underwater. Styxosaurus's neck alone measured up to 17 feet long and is one of the largest known plesiosaurs to ever live. This plesiosaur also had interlocking teeth, which allowed the Styxosaurus to catch slippery fish before swallowing it whole. Suchomimus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in early Cretaceous Africa between 125 and 112 million years ago. It was about 12 feet tall, 36 feet long, and weighed up to 4 tons. Much like other spinosaurids, Suchomimus had a long, narrow snout like that of a crocodile, as well as a hook on each hand, with a diet that mainly consists of fish. Size-wise, Suchomimus was larger than Baryonyx, but not quite as large as Spinosaurus. Suchomimus's name means crocodile mimic, and despite what its name suggests, it was not part of the ornithomimid family. Tapejara is a small pterosaur that lived in early Cretaceous South America between 112 and 109 million years ago. It was only about 3 feet tall, with a wingspan of up to 4 feet wide, and weighed only about 15 ounces, or just shy of 1 pound. Tapejara was best known for the large crest on top of its head. Its diet mainly consisted of fruit and lived in what is now Brazil. Tapejara's name means the Lord of the Waves and could fly at speeds of up to 18 miles per hour. Tarbosaurus is a large theropod that lived in late Cretaceous Asia around 70 million years ago. It was about 13 feet tall, 33 feet long, and weighed up to 5 tons. Tarbosaurus is the second largest member of the Tyrannosaur family, with the first being its more well-known North American counterpart. Much like T-Rex, Tarbosaurus had very short arms with 2 fingers on each hand. It ruled what is now Mongolia during the Cretaceous period and was the dominant predator of its time. While not quite as large as T-Rex, Tarbosaurus is still a force to be reckoned with. Therizinosaurus is a large herbivore that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 72 and 66 million years ago. It was about 16 feet tall, 33 feet long, and weighed up to 5.5 tons. One of the very few herbivorous theropods, as well as one of the more aggressive herbivores, Therizinosaurus is best known for the very sharp claws that it possesses, 3 on each hand, that grew to be 3 feet long. These claws were used to rip up vegetation as well as defend itself against predators. Therizinosaurus mainly had confrontations with Tarbosaurus. Torosaurus is a large ceratopsian that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 69 and 66 million years ago. It was about 8 feet tall, 30 feet long, and weighed up to 6.5 tons. This dinosaur bears a striking resemblance to its larger, more well-known cousin, Triceratops. Some scientists say that Torosaurus is just Triceratops in its adolescent stage, but that is still up for debate. Much like other ceratopsians, Torosaurus has a large beak that is used to break up vegetation, as well as horns that it uses to defend itself against predators and to challenge rival male Torosaurus. Torvosaurus, not to be confused with Torosaurus, is a medium-sized theropod that lived in late Jurassic North America, South America, Europe, and Africa between 163 and 145 million years ago. It was about 10 feet tall, 33 feet long, and weighed up to 4.5 tons. Torvosaurus is one of the predators that had to compete with Allosaurus for food. Whichever theropod was larger than the other depended on the location. In Europe, Torvosaurus was larger, but in North America, Allosaurus was larger. Torvosaurus mainly fed on Stegosaurus, Camptosaurus, and various species of sauropod. Triceratops is a large ceratopsian that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 66 million years ago. It was about 10 feet tall, 30 feet long, and weighed up to 13 tons. An iconic dinosaur, the Triceratops is best known for the large horns on its face, 2 above the eyes and 1 above the nose, giving it the name three-horned face. This dinosaur often clashed with T-Rex, who also lived alongside it. When threatened, Triceratops can charge at speeds of up to 20 miles per hour. Who's this kid who keeps telling facts about dinosaurs? Doesn't he know that's our job? Troodon is a small theropod that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 86 and 66 million years ago. It was about 3 feet tall, 8 feet long, and weighed up to 110 pounds. Troodon is said to have the largest brain of all the dinosaurs, and is possibly one of the most intelligent as well. Maybe not human-level intelligence, but pretty close. Scientists call Troodon a wastebasket taxon, which means they had trouble finding a class for it, so they decided to make it part of its own class. It even has a new name, which is Stenonychosaurus, but I'm still calling it Troodon. Tropionathus is a large pterosaur that lived in early Cretaceous South America between 112 and 109 million years ago. It was about 7 feet tall, with a wingspan of up to 29 feet wide, and weighed up to 100 pounds. This pterosaur is best known for the 2 round crests on the top and bottom of its beak, and is closely related to another pterosaur called Ornithocheirus. Much like other pterosaurs, Tropionathus spends most of its time near the coast, hunting fish in the ocean. This pterosaur's name means keel jaw, and has been known to travel miles looking for a nesting ground to mate and move on to the next generation. Centausaurus is a large hadrosaur that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 83 and 72 million years ago. It was about 12 feet tall, 33 feet long, and weighed up to 3 tons. Centausaurus is best known for the strange-looking crest on top of its head that resembles that of a unicorn, hence the nickname, the unicorn of the dinosaurs. Much like other hadrosaurs, Centausaurus most likely used its crest to communicate with others in its species. Tylosaurus is a large mosasaur that swam the late Cretaceous seas between 90 and 66 million years ago. It was about 46 feet long and weighed up to 20 tons. While not as large as Mosasaurus, Tylosaurus was still a force to be reckoned with, the dominant predator of its time. This ocean predator was closely related to snakes and monitor lizards. Tylosaurus mainly fed upon other ocean dwellers that are much smaller than itself, including Hesperornis and many species of fish. Tyrannosaurus rex, or T-Rex for short, is a large theropod that lived in late Cretaceous North America between 83 and 66 million years ago. It was about 12 to 15 feet tall, with some specimens reaching up to 20 feet tall, 40 feet long, and weighed 5 to 7 tons. The most famous dinosaur of all time, the T-Rex was just as terrifying in real life as it was in Jurassic Park. This carnivore had the strongest bite force out of any creature, up to 13,000 pounds per square inch. Along with powerful jaws, the T-Rex also had up to 60 sharp teeth that grew up to a foot long. The Tyrannosaurus rex is definitely worthy of the name Tyrant Lizard King. Utahraptor is a small theropod that lived in early Cretaceous North America between 129 and 122 million years ago. It was about 5 feet tall, 23 feet long, and weighed up to a ton. Utahraptor gets its name because its remains were discovered in where else? Utah. Utahraptor is one of the largest dromaeosaurs ever recorded, even towering over its more well-known cousins. Its sickle-like claw was very sharp and could grow up to 10 inches long. Utahraptor can also run at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour to catch prey. Velociraptor is a small theropod that lived in late Cretaceous Asia between 75 and 71 million years ago. It was about 1.5 feet tall, 6 feet long, and weighed about 43 pounds, making this dinosaur much smaller than its Jurassic Park counterparts. Velociraptor's name means speedy thief, and it mainly lived in what is now the Gobi Desert of Mongolia. This small carnivore's top speed was 25 miles per hour, which allowed this agile predator to catch up with prey. Its signature sickle-like claws grew up to 2.5 inches long. Velociraptor's favorite prey was a small ceratopsian called Protoceratops, and its skeleton was often found fighting a Protoceratops. The woolly mammoth is a large prehistoric pachyderm that lived between the Pliocene and the Holocene epoch in North America, Africa, Europe, and Asia from 500,000 to about 4,000 years ago. It was about 14 feet tall, 22 feet long, and weighed up to 6 tons. The woolly mammoth, or Mammothus, was best known for its very large tusks, which measured up to 15 feet long. Mammoths were also among the largest terrestrial mammals on the planet, only losing to Paraceratherium in size. The largest species of mammoth to date was the Columbian mammoth. The woolly rhinoceros is a prehistoric rhinoceros that lived during the Pleistocene epoch in Europe until about 14,000 years ago. It was about 5 feet tall, 11 feet long, and weighed up to 3.5 tons. This species of rhinoceros is best known for being covered from head to toe in fur, hence the name woolly rhinoceros. When charging at enemies, the woolly rhino could charge at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. Apart from that, these rhinos mainly mind their own business and won't attack unless it deems you a threat. Much like the woolly mammoth, humans may have had something to do with the woolly rhino's extinction. Wuerhosaurus is a large stegosaur that lived in early Cretaceous Asia about 130 million years ago. It was about 8 feet tall, 27 feet long, and weighed up to 4 tons. Unlike other stegosaurs, Wuerhosaurus had more round-shaped plates rather than the triangular ones, but they still have the same function. Wuerhosaurus also has the signature thagomizer at the end of its tail that it uses to defend itself from predators. Wuerhosaurus lived in what is now China and Mongolia during the early Cretaceous period. Eutyrannus is a medium-sized theropod that lived in early Cretaceous Asia between 129 and 113 million years ago. It was about 9 feet tall, 30 feet long, and weighed up to 1.5 tons. Eutyrannus's name means feathered tyrant due to being covered completely from head to toe in feathers. In fact, Eutyrannus was one of the largest dinosaurs known to have feathers. This theropod is a smaller cousin to the T-Rex and mainly lived in colder tundras. Eutyrannus also possessed 2 small horns on its head, and scientists still aren't sure what exactly they're used for. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. It would really help out a ton. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.